I 36M caught my wife 34F in an emotional affair. We've been having issues for well over a year stemming from communication problems. Lately we have been trying to discuss things and work it out, but it kept ending in arguments on most occasions. I also had noticed a pattern of secrecy regarding my wife's phone that had been gnawing at me. The other day I clearly saw an unknown man's name pop up on her screen, so I questioned her and she got defensive. I finally broke down and asked her to show me his text. After some hesitation she gave up and showed me. It was almost my worst nightmare, except she assures me they did not have time. The guy is a coworker of hers. Next morning I asked if she loved him. She admitted that she did, but seemed very guilty about it. They only met a few weeks ago as he is new to her company, so that leads me to think this is total infatuation for now, not necessarily love just yet. She assured me there has been no time or physical contact of any kind. Strangely I believe this as she seemed sincere and was open about being in love. She left for work and mentioned talking when she got home. I told her I need her to stay somewhere else right now, so she is staying at a hotel for a few days. I felt bad later and told her to come home, but she said she actually thinks we need the space at the moment, but she would be home after. Meanwhile my brain is going crazy wondering if this guy is in her room right now. I know, it was a stupid thing to propose. Sent her a long email where I tried to be very considerate and understanding and tell her that we can work this out. No response yet after 7 hours. I don't want to text her because she definitely got the email. At this point I am now wondering, what if she picks him and just leaves me? What if she went straight to his bed when I told her to go? What if she doesn't come home to stay? We've been together for 16 years and I have no experience with this previously. I'm just wondering what she may be thinking. After all, she apparently loves him. I'm worried she's about to sacrifice everything for this new guy, and I don't know what normally happens in these situations. Please help. Edit. Most everyone here is right. My friends and family were right too. I've been reeling from this devastation for 48 hours waiting for a sign that this isn't really happening. I was in denial. I made excuses and was gaslit into thinking this was somehow my fault. 100% of her problems with the relationship recently have been annoyance at me asking her to do literally anything around the house, find a decent paying job, or start driving herself around, or going to college. I've tried to boost her up and help her be a grown-up for all these years, but she has been taking it all as belittling. She has never wanted to grow up and has expected me to do everything for her, and I did it because I loved her. I was a fool. I know she's ducking him. And I know the only reason she stayed this long is because her new relationship is so new that she didn't have a solid plan to move in with him. Ken Bucks says he's not as into her as she is into him and just wanted to duck. I cut her timeline for her escape plan short by discovering this. I gave her all the power by offering to reconcile even after this, so now she thinks she is coming back tomorrow to pretend to work it out so she can stay longer. She's in for a surprise when I tell her she will be packing up all of her poop instead. Everything of hers will be out of here by the end of the week. I doubt her new man is ready to move her in, as he still hasn't worked out his own wife plus 3 kids situation, so her poop may end up on the curb if she can't make arrangements. She has no car. Her family and friends are 2 states away. Maybe this will be her first lesson in cheating. I've stopped giving a duck and I'm moving on with my life. I wouldn't have her back if she begged me now. Thanks everyone for making me see clearly. Story 2. Ida for moving to a hotel because my wife's family insisted I sleep on the couch. My wife and I got married last summer. Her family lives across the country from us, so up until this point I had never actually visited them, but I had met them a handful of times and we've always gotten along fine. They invited us to come visit and stay with them for a few days and we took them up on the offer. We flew in yesterday, and everything went well. Her dad and I watched football while she caught up with her mom and sisters, and then we had a really nice dinner. But things went south at the end of the night when it was made clear that they didn't want me sharing a bed with my wife while in their home, and that they expected me to sleep on the couch. I honestly thought they were joking at first, but they insisted we sleep separately. I had a problem with the implication that I shouldn't be allowed to sleep next to my wife, and I also have a bad back and the couch did not look the least bit comfortable. They don't have a guest room. After arguing back and forth for a bit, I decided to leave and book a hotel. I told my wife she didn't have to come with me. She chose to stay and I said I'd come back the next day. I went off to a Marriott about 10 meters away and got a good night's sleep, trying to not let the whole situation bother me. This morning, I called my wife asking when I should come by. She told me her parents want me to apologize for leaving the way I did. I told her that I'm willing to apologize to keep the peace, but they need to acknowledge that it wasn't appropriate to insist I can't share a bed with my own wife. She said she'd talk to them and call me back. About 10 minutes later, I hear back from her, and she tells me that not only will they not apologize for it, they are now insisting I need to come back and stay on the couch for the rest of our visit, and if I don't agree to this, I'm not welcome back in the house. I'm pretty livid at this point. I told her that there's absolutely no chance that I will do that, and I am no longer willing to offer any sort of apology. My wife's sisters are now bothering me saying this is just the way their parents are, that my wife is very upset, and that I need to just give in and stay on the couch for the rest of the trip before this turns into some sort of family feud. From my perspective, I don't care what they think, and I'm willing to treat the rest of this trip as a solo vacation, go sightseeing and meet my wife back at the airport at the end of the week. Ida, oop is voted NTA. Relevant comments. Dude, just go home. I thought about it, but I've already taken the week off and the weather here is much nicer than where we live. I have no problem just spending the week by myself at the beach. Is this a cultural thing or just a prude thing? We're all Americans. Her family is Italian-German. They're also super progressive liberal Berniakrats, but they do go to church regularly. Update. Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up the way it did. Thanks for all the responses and awards. I took the advice of one of the posters here to ask my wife and her sisters to meet me for dinner apart from their parents. It was interesting to say the least. After we sat down, I leaned into them a bit about what had happened. I asked my wife if she knew her dad was going to demand we sleep separately, and she said she was surprised by it as well. She'd expect that if I were still just her boyfriend, but we're married now. I then asked them all if they thought it was okay for their parents to act the way they did. They said it wasn't, but they know their father and it's best to just let things like this go. This led to a somewhat uncomfortable conversation about how controlling he can get, how he angers easily when he doesn't get his way, and that he was already throwing a fit over me disrespecting him by leaving. The reason they were all trying to get me to come back and apologize was because he would find some way to make them all miserable for the rest of the week if I didn't. I told my wife I was really disappointed that she wouldn't side with her husband when I was clearly in the right, and she went sort of quiet. I then asked if they thought this was even about house rules, because it seemed more like their dad was just trying to show me who was in charge. They agreed. Up to this point I had really done everything I could to not escalate this situation, but I started to get really mad that they were all so afraid of how their dad would react. I decided I needed to push back a bit. I know my wife was mainly here to spend time with her sisters who she rarely gets to see. So I told them all I was going to move to a hotel by the beach about an hour away in San Diego for the rest of the week, and I'd book a second room for them if they wanted to all join. They don't get to go on trips much, so I figured they'd be excited to get a free vacation away from their parents. They know that their dad is probably going to freak out when they leave, but I think they realized the situation had gone too far, so they decided they would come and deal with the fallout afterwards. So that's where this all stands for now. I'm about to check out of my hotel and hit the road for San Diego. My wife and her sisters are coming down in a separate car after their parents leave for work. I fully expect their dad to throw a conniption fit when he finds out they left without telling him, but I really don't care at this point. I tried to be the bigger person at every turn, but he pushed this all way too far. Thanks again to everyone for all the insight. Relevant comments. Is this homophobia? No, we're a traditional couple. We've met before and they were at our wedding. I just haven't visited them in California until now. How old are the sisters? They're 24 and 21. My wife is 29. Maybe extend the invite to your mill as well? Maybe I'll go into more details in a future update, but I've learned their mother was the one behind all of this drama to begin with. They're all enjoying some time away from both of their parents. Someone asks if the family is Latino. Their mother is. Their dad is white. From talking with the girls today, they seem to think the no sharing beds thing actually came from their mom, but the tantrum was all on their dad. One more. My wife and her sisters were nothing but apologetic all day yesterday. I told them it was water under the bridge, and now we're all enjoying SD, and I've literally never seen them so happy. Story 3. My wife is dead. The best Christmas present I could have gotten. My wife is dead. The best Christmas present I could have gotten. At the beginning of 2022, I caught my wife having an affair with one of her exes. Our marriage wasn't perfect. I was not the perfect husband, I will admit. But I did my best. I put effort into the entire 5 years we were together. I put my all into the relationship. I could not say the same. I was pushed into to confront the reality of who she truly was shortly after I caught her. She illegally evicted me from our shared home, lied to the police to try and get me arrested, tried to get me fired from my job, and tried to turn all of my friends against me. Some of these succeeded, while others did not. She has made my life a living hell since the day I asked her for the divorce and has planted her heels into the ground over our separation to try and drain all my finances and emotional strength from me. The only upside is we had no kids for her to use as weapons, but I soon found out that her policy of strict birth control with me did not extend to her suitor as he got her pregnant 5 months ago. I thought maybe this would help speed along the divorce, but it only rallied her in her efforts to destroy me. On Christmas Eve, my wife and her suitor went to a party where both of them got drunk. I find this fact terrible as all her friends knew she was pregnant as well. Her suitor drove them home, a mistake that would cost them both their lives. In the state I live in, our divorce is now considered to never have even started. I will be able to claim her life insurance policy for myself and move back into my home. Her parents called me up distraught yesterday, acting as if the last year had never happened, and offered their full support to my funeral preparations for her. My confusion here was beyond belief, but the apple does not fall far from the tree when it comes to my wife. I told them if they want a funeral, it was coming out of their pockets. I will pay for her to be cremated, and deliver her ashes to them in the cheapest urn offered if they desire. They called me horribly and tried to guilt me about her life insurance, but after only 4 minutes on the phone with them, I hung up and blocked every one of her family's numbers. I'm going to be taking a few extra days off work to move back into my house over the next week. I've already made arrangements to have her stuff hauled off so my home will be an empty canvas to start my life anew. I don't know if there is a God, or if this was just karma, but I truly believe now that I have come out on the other side of the storm. Ops comments, judge me how you will. I will not argue with how my actions influence others' opinions about me. I just know that if the situation was reversed, my wife would be shopping around for a sports car with the life insurance money she collected on me. You're right. I don't like them, but they do deserve her things if they want them. I'll unblock her mom and offer to make arrangements to deliver her stuff wherever she wants. If she wants it all or only certain things, I'll eat the cost and deliver it to her. I'm already paying to have it hauled and trashed, so no point in caring where it goes. I cut those people out of my life when they turned on me due to false accusations that I had video evidence to prove wrong. If her lies being exposed in 4K are not enough to convince them, they are nothing more than anchors to be released in the sea. I will be installing cameras at the house tomorrow. The locks have already been repinned. My divorce lawyer has already given me recommendations and I am meeting with an attorney on Wednesday. Update: I have decided to elaborate on a few common threads I see in this post here, as responding to all the comments would be too much. Firstly, some are judging me for the way I am reacting to the death of 3 people. You're right, it is not normal nor is it healthy. I feel no emotions toward my ex at this moment. All my hatred, resentment, and regret evaporated when I learned of her death. I feel nothing but relief right now. This void has slowly consumed me over the past few days. I feel numb. Like I'm dreaming. Like what happened is not real. This woman made my life a living hell for over a year. She set out to destroy me, and would not stop until she did. I do not like the fact that I feel this way over the death of 3 people, but that is not a box I feel ready to unpack at this moment. Secondly, I have reached out to my ex's mom today and things are much more civil as of now. I'll pay the hauling company to move her stuff into one of their storage units and they can figure out the rest. Her mother revealed to me that they cannot afford to host a funeral for my ex. I am 100% the legal beneficiary of her life insurance. Despite my past hatred for her family, I told her mother I will give them a small amount from her life insurance so they can have a service and arrange burial logistics for her. This is contingent on us cutting ties after, and I will not be involved any further in her funeral. I will still be talking to a lawyer. Lastly, I am not going to elaborate any further except the only lives lost was hers, her suitor, and their unborn child. Some are saying I should sell the house. Right now, I only want to return to my home. The details of where I end up, either there or somewhere over the rainbow, are yet to be determined. I do not know what life holds for me, or for any of us. This event happened, maybe for a reason or maybe the universe has no logic at all. This gift put an end to a period of my life that sent me to the brink of destruction. It's morbid to think that the death of 3 people was what pulled me to the other side alive. It's interesting how quick it can all change or end. Story 4, wife now wants to work it out. To start this whole thing off, I am 38, caught my wife F36 having an affair right after Thanksgiving. We have been married for 14.5 years now. She met a guy at a bar during girls' night, gave him her number, and they began having an emotional affair. Then it progressed and she slept with him, and I found messages where they planned to be together forever. I work out of town for 3 days out of the week, and she told me that she was lonely and I didn't pay her enough attention. I was devastated to the point that I couldn't really function. I left the house and went to my parents while she stayed in the house with our 2 daughters. I begged her not to do this multiple times, and she told me that she wasn't happy and that she found someone that could make her happy. I got a lawyer and started the divorce process. We already have a split made and now it's just finalizing the process. I started dating a woman and it was going pretty well. She was pretty much everything you could want in a woman. She was highly educated, fit, funny, has a great career, has her own money, etc. She wanted commitment from me that I couldn't give because I am still very much in love with my wife. So I broke it off with her and called my wife again to beg her to take me back. I'm actually ashamed of me crying to her and pleading. She again told me no and said that she was happier now than she ever was with me. The very next weekend I planned to take my oldest daughter out for dinner since I haven't had one-on-one time and my youngest was staying with a friend. I show up to the house to pick my daughter up and I invite my wife thinking that she would decline. She accepted and went to dinner with us. We had a nice dinner and great conversation. My daughter stayed the night with me and I thought that was the end of it. When I dropped my daughter off the next day, my wife said that she wanted to fix our marriage. We ended up writing emails back and forth and she told me the things that she didn't like about me were things that she saw me fix while I've been without her. When I pressed her about what changed her mind, she ended up telling me that the guy that she was sleeping with rejected her and blocked her on all platforms. Now that I know this, it makes me not want to be with her. I don't want to be her safe and second choice. She's the love of my life and I want her to love me like I love her. It disgusts me that she was intimate with another man in my house and in my bed. On the other hand, I will never be able to love someone as much as I love her. I know that if I work it out with her that my children's lives will be better because of it. She also wants me to get a different job that will allow me to be home every night and that would severely limit my upward trajectory in the company I work for. She flat refuses to move for the sake of my job and she expects me to sacrifice my career for our marriage that she destroyed. I don't know what to do in this situation. I feel like if the other man was still around she would be with him and she wouldn't give 2 it's about me. I think she was more upset that her affair of 8 weeks ended than she was about our 14-year marriage ending. Any advice would be appreciated. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, if the other guy was still around, she would be with him, and if you try to work it out it will just be a matter of time before she does it again with someone else. She only wants to get back together because you're her best available option at the moment. The affair fog is gone, and she realized that she can't keep her lifestyle if you divorce. Don't be her backup plan. Redditor follow up, yes. I love you now because this guy didn't want me. Takes a long time to learn that. Redditor 2, if next weekend the other guy decides he wants to break off another piece of your wife, do you think she would say no? If your life and happiness depend on another man's whim to screw your wife, then what kind of life is that? She is the love of your life. You are not the love of her life if this is how she is treating you. If this is her love, what does her hate look like? Redditor 3, when someone cheats on you, they show how little they respect you. When you take them back, you show how little you respect yourself. You are the backup plan, and you will be again when she meets someone else. Redditor follow up, you've nailed it here. In a messed up way, by taking them back, you prove their original thesis and they feel justified in their continued disrespect because clearly they were right, because by taking them back you show them you disrespect yourself just as much as they disrespect you.